In the previous lectures, we examined the central sources that preserve Mesopotamian flood traditions. You have probably noticed the strong resemblance between these Mesopotamian stories and the biblical flood story. We will not read here the famous biblical version of the flood story. You are strongly encouraged to read the full story in Genesis 6 to 9. Here, we will mention the most striking similarities between the two traditions and quote some relevant biblical verses. Both traditions describe a hero saved from the flood by an ark or boat who brings into it animals, 2 of each kind.
And God said to Noah, "Make yourself an ark of gopher wood. For my part, I will bring a flood, waters upon the earth, to destroy all flesh in which is the breath of life. And of every living thing, of all flesh, you shall bring 2 of every sort into the ark, to keep them alive with you. They shall be male and female. From birds of every kind, cattle of every kind of creeping thing of the ground of every kind, 2 of each shall come into you, to keep them alive."
In both traditions, when the flood ends, the boat or ark comes to rest upon a high mountain.
And in the 7th month, on the 17th day of the month, the ark came to rest on Mount Ararat.
In both traditions, the survivor sends birds, including a dove and a raven, to ascertain whether the waters had receded.
At the end of 40 days, Noah opened the window of the ark that he had made and sent out the raven. It went to and fro until the waters had dried up from the earth. Then he sent out the dove from him to see whether the waters had subsided from the face of the ground. But the dove found no resting place for its foot, and she returned to him to the ark, for there was water over the face of the whole earth. So he put out his hand and took her, and brought her into the ark with him. Then he waited another 7 days, and again sent out the dove from the ark. And the dove came into him in the evening, and behold, in her mouth was a plucked off olive leaf. Then Noah knew that the waters had subsided from the earth. And he waited another 7 days, and sent the dove forth. And she did not return to him any more.
Later on in the story, the two traditions report that the survivor went out of the ark and offered sacrifices.
Then Noah built an altar to the Lord, and took of every clean animal and of every clean bird, and offered burnt offerings on the altar.
The similarities we noted regard the general storyline, which is basically the same in both traditions. While reading the Mesopotamian sources, you might have noticed additional parallels, significant or minor. For an extensive list of similarities between the biblical account and the Mesopotamian tradition, you may consult the bibliography on the website.